Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us at our One World Spiritual Center online Sunday gathering. I apologize for the delay. We were having some small technical issues occasioned by coming at you digitally, and I so apologize. I'm very grateful you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. We are recording this, so if you can't see it on YouTube, we are going to post the recording on our website, and you can always watch it on YouTube. Actually, if you can't see it on Facebook, we're going to post it, and you can watch it live on YouTube. So again, so glad you're here. And I want to give a big shout out as we begin to everybody who helped with our summer picnic yesterday. It was way fun. Thank you so much for those who came. Many thanks to Tim Rainey and Michael Roussel and Linda Wendt and Shannon and Diana and all the folks who helped put it together. We are very grateful. We had a wonderful time, and we hope you can join us at our next picnic. It's a beautiful park in case you have not been there. So we have a good gathering for you today. My talk is going to be on the subject of doubt, on the subject of wondering, on those moments when we look around and we just don't feel that we have any connection to the divine. We also have a video from Reverend Rebecca telling us what our kids are doing. We have a beautiful song from our own Debbie Schroet from her last album, Can You Imagine, which really was her favorite album. And we're going to play a lovely song from that I hope you enjoy. We have a reading by our own Linda Wendt. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'm very glad you're here. So as we begin, let's just take a minute and just put aside all the rushing and all the stuff and just take a breath and bring our awareness to this right now, to this moment. And the way we do that is simply by taking a breath and forming the intention to be present right now. If your day is anything like mine, there is so much rushing around, so much stuff, and then we sit and we're here and we just have to have the intention to be here and be together and just be the beloved community that we are. Even though we are remote, our energies can still join. So I invite you simply to take a breath and just be willing to be with this gathering for the next 45 minutes or so, as we are grateful, as we just feel the presence of spirit around us and in us and as us. So I have an opening prayer, and it's by Unitarian Universalist minister Max Coote, and it talks about being held by spirit and just being grateful for that. So I invite you to listen. Let us pray to the God who holds us in the hollow of his hands, to the God who holds us in the curve of her arms, to the God whose flesh is the flesh of hills and hummingbirds and angleworms, whose skin is the color of an old black woman and a young white man, and the color of the leopard and the grizzly bear and the green grass snake, whose hair is like the aurora borealis, rainbows, nebulae, waterfalls, and a spider's web, whose eyes sometimes shine like the evening star, and then like fireflies, and then again like an open wound, whose touch is both the touch of life and the touch of death, and whose name is everyone's, but mostly mine. And to what shall we pray? Let us say thank you. We simply say thank you. And so it is. I just love that description of spirit. Different images, different beings, different concepts of spirit around us and sustaining us at all times. So I want to talk today about doubt. And the talk is entitled In Celebration of Doubt. And my theme is it's a good thing. And nowadays there is so much of it. We all feel it. So let's just explore it together for a minute. So I want to tell you a family story arising out of my childhood. It involves my brother. When my brother was 5, he went out to the family car He pushed in the cigarette lighter and he waited for it to pop out. Okay, now I'm old enough for cigarette lighters to actually have been cigarette lighters. It's before they became 12-volt power connectors. So at that point, what did they do? They actually lit people's cigarettes. Some of you may remember, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but some of you may remember that small glowing red circle. Okay. So my parents had told him that when the cigarette lighter popped out, it was what? It was really hot. But he didn't have any direct experience of this. He didn't believe them. He doubted them. And so he just said, I'm going to figure this out for myself. He had, as we call it now, an inquiring mind. Okay, so it popped out. He stuck his finger in, and guess what? He had a direct experience. It was, as we call it now, a teaching moment. He never did it again because he had found it out for himself. He didn't have mere information. Now he had no more doubt. He had experience. It was enough. So not all our questions, especially our spiritual ones, our existential ones, are answered this easily or this clearly. Nowadays, we don't see bushes that are burning but are not consumed. We don't see the Red Sea parting. We don't see pillars of flame proceeding in front of us. Today, June 5th, in the Christian calendar is called Pentecost. And what happened on Pentecost? It's the day that the Holy Spirit descended upon the apostles. And tradition has it that there was a rushing wind, that there were tongues of flame hovering over their heads. Wouldn't life be easier? Just ask yourself, wouldn't life be easier or at least a lot clearer if we had such clear signals of God's presence? There he is. It's a tongue of flames. Okay, get out your camera. It doesn't work that way. That is not the way it looks now. We don't have that. So we wonder, we doubt. So in our discussion today, I want to talk about that. I want to celebrate doubt, our not knowing, our uncertainty. If you have ever found yourself in doubt about your spiritual beliefs, kind of like join the club, you'd be glad to know that it has a blue blood lineage. It goes back thousands of years. As a matter of fact, doubt goes back as long as faith does. Early religious doubters included St. Augustine, John of the Cross, John the Baptist, Teresa of Avila. Jesus himself expressed doubts at various times throughout the New Testament, for the last time on the cross itself. And so in 2014, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the head of the Anglican Church of England, somebody you would think would have a healthy dose of religion, mentioned to a reporter that he sometimes wondered if God was even there. That's a brave man. The International Business Times called it the doubt of the century. People went crazy. They said atheism was on the rise, and this was proof positive. We were all going to hell in a handbasket if the Archbishop of Canterbury thought that perhaps God did not exist. So his comments were really pretty tame, and they only proved that he was human. At some point, we all have doubts about what we believe, about the existence and nature of the divine, about our place in this universe, about how we connect with God. Spiritual doubt has been with us forever. We are human, and it is supremely human to doubt and to wonder. I wonder in part if that's why we are here, to not have such clear indices, to just walk this journey of unknowing into greater awareness. If you have ever had any questions about your belief or faced any doubts, you are in excellent company. I am guessing everybody who is listening here today, certainly the person who is talking here today. So I'd like to focus on doubt today for that reason. We spend a great deal of time talking about belief as a spiritual community, and other spiritual communities do as well. We focus on belief, the strong power of our belief to create our future, to drive our reality, to draw our good to us. Is this sounding familiar? I bet it does. This is strong stuff. And over the course of your journey, you may have heard that if you don't believe 100%, you are just doing it wrong. But it's not that easy. Some of you may be sitting there saying, I want to believe, but there is a part of you that is whispering, yeah, right. I'm not so sure about that. In the Gospel of Matthew, the story is told of a father who brought his son to Jesus to be healed. The child was possessed by a demon, or what they called an unclean spirit, and the child suffered greatly. The father told Jesus, it has often cast him into the fire and into the water to destroy him. But if you are able to do anything, have pity on us and help us. Jesus said to him, if you are able, all things can be done for one who believes. So immediately the father of the child cried out, I believe, help my unbelief. Doesn't that sound to you like you sometimes? It sounds like me. I believe, help my unbelief. We want to believe and be relieved of our suffering. It's not so easy. We question and we just don't know. Over the years, many of us have questioned the beliefs we assumed we had, doubted them, and discarded some. You awaken to new ones, and you may begin the process again. You likely do begin the process again as you continue on your spiritual path. If we know one thing, it is that creation is ever creating, not static. We are made of that infinite and eternal stuff, and so we are not static. Even when we are in doubt, our journey continues. I think we sometimes feel that we're stuck, but I don't think that's the case. I think the journey continues. Doubt may start small. It's a journey, as is our awakening. As a matter of fact, I see it as the same journey. So doubt can start with examining questions of belief. And I think frequently what happens is, as we grow up from our childhood understanding of a more traditional God, we start to question those notions. Why does God think a newborn baby is sinful? Why does God call me sinful just because I love someone of the same gender? Or if there's a God, why is there so much suffering? How could God let 21 people, 19 of whom were children, get shot to death in their school as they were celebrating the end of the year and the approach of summer? Why is it not easier for the good to prosper? And why does it seem so easy for the wicked to thrive? Why is the playing field not level at the very least? So the questions go on and on. Whatever your individual questions are, they may start small, and then the crack begins to grow. You begin with the small doubts, perhaps over individual questions or issues, and over time you may come to doubt more and more. You widen the circle of things about which you are skeptical, and ultimately, perhaps, even the existence of a benevolent, loving, universal power itself. That is one way doubt grows. That is the doubt of belief, or what I will call perhaps the more intellectual doubt. Questioning can also grow more subtly, almost without notice. Where once our spiritual practices were robust and nourishing and vibrant, now they seem more arid. We just kind of go through the motions. Have you ever been in that place where your spiritual life was almost on hold? You go through the motions, you go to whatever your spiritual community is because you're used to it, you like the folks who are there. You may even continue your daily practices, but you just feel less connected. Your spiritual life is just not as nourishing as it once was. It doesn't sustain you, thrill you, energize you as it once did. You may just settle for this. You might say, well, this is all there is. While you don't consciously doubt, you live through a time of more spiritual isolation and loneliness. That is common as well. So as I was preparing this talk, I spent a lot of time thinking about how we step back from our beliefs and our practices, about how we move through the idea that we're missing something. How do we journey through that experience? There's not a great deal said in communities like ours about doubt, or rather the potentially positive aspects of doubt. I went onto the website for one national organization teaching principles of new thought, and I did a search for the word doubt, and there wasn't one hit. It is not a popular concept. Doubt itself is seen as something to overcome with additional affirmations, additional focus, mind treatments, and an increasing emphasis on positive thinking. Don't be doubting. Don't draw that to yourself. Think positive. So all that may be true to some extent, but that may not be the way all of us work through our doubts. Our journeys are so individual. It seems to me that that is one way to avoid doubt. I kind of think of it like the Red Sea. You know, the Israelites got through it. They didn't go around it. You got to go through it. Many spiritual seekers take their doubts head on, believing these moments have something to teach. Many have looked back in gratitude at their periods of doubt and even downright disbelief as they propelled them even further in their journey. Far from being an experience to be avoided, traveling through the questions and perhaps even the darkness can be a time of growth, even if it's painful. One of my references for this talk was a book called Doubt. And actually, if you spend your time looking at the books behind me, you will probably see it, by author Jennifer Michael Hecht. It's a really interesting, well-researched book on the history of religious doubt. Miss Hecht writes in it, when men and women take on a quest for inner transformation, they become engaged in grappling with doubt. So let's, for a second, take a look at that phrase, inner transformation. Isn't that what we're looking for? We can all appreciate intellectual belief, our cognitive understanding of what we think is the truth. However, we also know that until we step into that truth, until we step into what we know to be, what we know resonates with us, what we merely think is half a loaf at best. True transformation, true awakening happens when these beliefs become so internalized that you are living them as true for you without even thinking. It's more of a heart thing. Some call this faith, some call it conviction, others call it trust. You can call it whatever works for you, but it happens when you awaken to your own truth and you simply know deep in your bones, in your DNA, that it is true for you. This is the process that questioning leads us through. When we take in what we are told, somebody sitting there talking to you, so much as I'm talking to you right now, or what we read or hear, and we work with it, we question it, we take it into ourselves. We don't just accept it. We take it in and grapple with it. We sit with it until all of it or a kernel of it resonates with us, and we say, yes, this is our next step in awakening. We cannot ask anyone else to take our spiritual journey for us. We each take it. Communities like ours, I've always said this about One World, communities like ours are heavy lifting. I don't sit here and tell you what to believe. I give you tools from which you fashion your own journey, and you give them to me. We give them to each other. Each of us, as an expression of spirit, is having our own conversation with spirit. We cannot find our truth by simply ingesting someone else's version of their truth. Sister Joan Chittister writes, once we have pursued our doubts to the dust, we forge a stronger, not a weaker belief system. These truths are true, we know, because they are now true for us rather than simply for someone else. She writes that doubt is the beginning of real faith, calling doubt the mother of conviction. It is our own growth, our own experience with the questions that drives our awakening. Often it is our experience in the world itself that addresses our questions. We live this journey. We use our life experience as information to help us on this walk. So I have a friend who grew up in a conservative Christian church. At some point as a child, she started to doubt what she was hearing from her ministers and her teachers. Up until that point, she had faith in what she had been taught. And her faith, because she was a child, made her feel safer, and it was a good thing. She was a child, and she needed to know that a power larger than she was had her back. As she grew older, the lessons made less sense, and she began to doubt. Out of that little crack of doubt grew increasing doubt about everything that she believed about her world, about God. As she put it, she lost her faith. Now, she continued on for many years just believing she had no faith in God. However, she continued to live her life, to love her friends and her family, to serve her community, to act toward others with compassion and love and kindness. She then had an opportunity to go on a medical mission abroad to a third world country to help people who needed medical care, many of whom suffered from agonizing medical conditions, which here we can fix with simple procedures, not so much there. She was on this trip for several months. When she came back, as she tells it now, she saw life differently. She said, all of a sudden, wherever I looked, I saw tiny miracles that I didn't see before. And she looked back over her life and saw that there had been miracles all along she just had not seen. While she still didn't believe in what she was taught as a child, she experienced a new way to see her world through her life experiences with different eyes and a greater awareness that perhaps was not there before. She found a way for her to be in the world that didn't involve the traditional notion of God, but which did include the profound knowing that a power was at work, whatever it was. This is her truth, internalized and born over years of living in the question and just living, sometimes consciously and sometimes not, but always open to the possibility of answers. Her experience and her ability to keep her heart and her awareness open transformed her view. So often, I think, we miss the presence of spirit in our lives because we expect it to look a certain way and only that way. We expect to think, oh, this is God, this is what God looks like. And meanwhile, we are having all these other images, all this other truth, all this other lived experience coming at us that perhaps we don't see because we expect God to look like that. I forget who it was who said, our greatest impediment to an experience of God is our last experience of God. When we release our expectations of how spirit will appear, who knows what we will see, what we will hear, what we will touch. So often those who refuse to doubt, who refuse to question, are those who appear to be the most certain. I have no doubt. I know exactly what's true. They may fear doubt, having been told that doubt is a sign of lack of faith, and that's a bad thing. It's not. We have to remain open to these questions. Doubt is not the opposite of faith. Certainty is the opposite of faith. Where there is certainty, there is no need to question. It is doubt that leads us into the questions that make us expand our understanding and help us to our own answers, which are true for us. If we don't doubt, we don't look. Theologian Paul Tillich put it, doubt isn't the opposite of faith. It's an element of faith. Our journey into the light is not always a steady progression of joyous understandings. I might go so far as to say it never is. There will be moments of pause, moments to reconsider, wonder, dig deeper. Often, new awareness arises in us after we have been through the process of doubting, after we have found ourselves in the dark, saying, I know the light is somewhere. Doubt or unbelief is not something to be feared. It's the process of creating your own truth. So as we move forward, let's not shy away from the questions. Let's not shy away from those times when spirit seems remote. We all have them, and they may last for a while. They may last for a really long time. They can remain pathways to growth, community, and awakening. We may have different answers, but we all have a voice in exploring the questions together. This is the only way, I believe, that we move forward in our faith journeys. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you being here. And I would like to close with a reading by Linda Wendt, followed by our own Debbie Schroet's Spirit Speak to Me from her last and her favorite album. So I am passing the talking stick to Linda.
Good morning, everyone. Today's reading is from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. It says, some days I wake with a cloud around my heart and it dulls everything except the weight I carry deep inside. Yet, just because I can't make it to the light today doesn't mean that that light has vanished. So faith, it seems, can be defined as the effort to believe in light when we're covered by clouds. And though it feels like the sun will never come again, the truth is it has never stopped burning its light. In fact, its heart and its heat and warmth is burning steadily right now on the far side of whatever cloud we are under. If we could only suspend our judgment when clouded in the heart, for many skepticisms are born from conclusions drawn while unable to see, as if any kind of understanding will prevent the clouds from coming or going again and again. But no cloud lasts forever. The earth and all that grows from it knows this well. So does the heart and everything that grows from it. In spite of all our very understandable pains. Thanks.
So now I pass it to Michael for Debbie's song, Spirit, Speak to Me.
In quietness and solitude, I enter in this place, and I am not alone. I know you're here with me, and I have told my heart and mind, slow down and be still. I want to set aside the world and be with you. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is listening. I want to follow in your path of bliss and peace. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is yearning. My spirit's burning for more of you. I close my eyes and bow my heart and feel your presence here. And easily I find the peace I came here for. I meditate upon you, God. I fill my heart with you. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing else will do. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is listening. I want to follow in your path of bliss and peace. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is yearning. My spirit's burning for more of you. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is listening. I want to follow in your path of bliss and peace. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is yearning. My spirit's burning for more of you. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is listening. More of you. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is yearning. More of you. Spirit, speak to me. My soul is listening.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael. I hope you all enjoyed it. I got to tell you, that album of Debbie's is one of my favorites. I listen to it all the time. We have a link on our One World website that goes to Debbie's albums, and I understand that it does not yet go to that one. Hang on, let me fix something here. And we are fixing that. So when you hit that link to Debbie Schroedt's music, it will go to her latest, her last album, Can You Imagine? So this is our opportunity in our gathering to join together in prayer and reflection, to hold each other in our hearts, to hold our community and our greater world in our love and in our hearts. So let's just take a minute and take a breath. And let's just be willing to join our energies and our intention together in these next few moments. Shift your awareness, if you will, from your busy mind just down to your heart space. They call that the longest journey we can make, from our busy minds down to our hearts. But we can do it because we get to pick where we place our focus. And for right now, we move it down to our heart space. Take a breath in and just be grateful and be willing for this time together. May we be at peace. May our minds be untroubled. May we look deeply for these moments. May we live in the mystery, lifting up our eyes, opening our hearts. We are grateful, we are joyful, and we say yes. So we do have a specific prayer request today. Chris's and Tom's grandson Thomas is having some respiratory issues and was in the hospital for some tests. I'm thrilled to report he's better today, but let's just take a moment and hold little Thomas and Chris and Tom and all their family in our hearts for healing, for renewal, and for peace. Sweet Spirit, we shower our light and our love, and through us, your light and love on Thomas, that he may be well, that he may be speedily healed from the distress that has afflicted him, that all his cells may be whole and may be healthy as they are meant to be. May he be well. May he find healing. And bless Chris and Tom and all their family who support and love Thomas so much. May they support each other. May they know that healing is coming and that all will be well. We are grateful, and so it is. And together we say, Amen. So let's just take a minute. And if any of you have a concern on your own heart, a beloved, a circumstance coming up in your life, let's just take a minute and hold that in our hearts, each one of us, knowing that it is heard, knowing that we are supported even when we don't feel it, as we so often don't, that we are supported in the arms and the love of Spirit, and that we do not walk our journeys alone. And after that, we are going to widen the circle to include all beings, all life on this planet we call home, that all may be well, that all may live free of fear and violence and oppression, and that peace may be the watchword of our communities. So let's just take a moment as we sit together in silence. Mother, Father, God, for all the names that rest on the heart of those listening or watching here, all the upcoming circumstances, all the situations or the challenges which face us, we release them to you, knowing that they are heard, knowing that we always stand in the light, even if sometimes we don't feel it. We know that the light is there. We know that Spirit is there, supporting and walking with us at all times. May our beloved be blessed. May we be supported moving forward. And we widen the circle to include all beings, two-footed, four-footed, winged, swimming, crawling, it doesn't matter. We place within our circle of love and caring all beings, that all may be well, that all may be supported and sustained. May all who suffer violence or fear or oppression or hunger or want know that they are not alone. May they find strength and comfort and peace. May we do all we can to help bring that consciousness of compassion and peace and love to our world, which is so in need. As we understand, this is why we are here, to be the feet and the voice and the hands of a loving spirit in this world. May we do our part. We are grateful that we are here to try, to strive, to love, to reach out. We are willing. And so it is. And together we say, Amen. Sometimes it's nice to just take a minute and sit together and pray together. So this is our opportunity in our service to give our gifts and our tithes and our offerings in support of One World. And as I say every week, I am so grateful to you for your continued support. We only had to do the picnic yesterday to realize how important community is. And it's so wonderful to be able to continue to do these things, to bring ourselves together in person, to bring ourselves together remotely. Thank you so much for your continued support and generosity. We commit these tithes and these gifts to the continuing work of One World, that we may continue to bring this message to our online community and to the world, using the imagery and the language and the rich wisdom of the world's enduring faith traditions. Thank you so much. So now, as it is the first Sunday of the month, we have a video from our youth director, Reverend Rebecca Johnson, telling us a bit about what our kids are doing. So I'm going to turn to Michael to see if he can play us that video.
Namaskar, everyone. I see the light, the love in each and every one of you. I am Reverend Rebecca, the youth director at One World Spiritual Center. We are in the month of June, and the faculty of June is imagination. This imagination is located between your eyes. Some call it the third eye. The color of the faculty is light blue, like the color of the sky on a clear, beautiful sunny day. When we look up at that blue sky, we get a sense of calm and peace. Sometimes we all need to have that inner peace and let go of what is happening around us. We can use our imagination and visualize peace, love, and unity in this universe. And we can send it out to everyone. We all know every idea came from our imagination. We will discuss tools and principles to use our imagination to create and send out vibrations of peace and harmony. Everyone, enjoy your day, and I wish you all peace within.
Many thanks to Reverend Rebecca for that video, and a thanks again for all she does with our kids programs. They just love getting on the Zoom every Sunday at 10:30 and talking about pretty much the same spiritual practices and issues that we talk about here, but it gives them an opportunity to create and sustain their own community. So many thanks to her for that, and to each one of our wonderful kids who joins. So I do have some announcements for you. Our community circles this Wednesday is going to be another way fun time. I encourage you to join. You may remember that a few weeks ago, I don't know, a couple months ago, Ellen and Lori Rich Fox had a book of cards with different questions on it. Everything from our spiritual journey to what we think about politics to how we handle different issues in our lives. And they pull out a card and they just ask a question, and we get to talk about it. So it's a wonderful way to find out a little bit more about each other, to find out a little bit more about ourselves, to build community and just have fun. So that is this Wednesday at 7 to 8:30, or until whenever we stop. It could be before, probably not after, but it could be before. So please join us for that. Our book discussion group is starting on June 15th. It is this book. It is Marcus Borg's let me hold that right, The God We Never Knew. And that book discussion group is going to continue for 8 weeks, including the 15th. And what you can do is you can order it on Amazon, you can order it on Barnes & Noble, you can get it wherever you get your books. But the reason we're not starting till June 15th is because I wanted to give folks the opportunity to get it and read the first 7 pages, which is the introduction. So please join us for that. Marcus Borg gives he's just a wonderful book to help us break down really what we all have learned as it's just dry theology into a new lived experience. It's a new way of looking at the scriptures. It's a new way of experiencing this message. And so if you are interested or if you have any other questions, please give me a call. I would like a head count of who is interested in joining that book discussion group. It's going to be Wednesday starting on June 15th for 7 weeks following that, 8 weeks total, from 7 to 8:30 is going to take the place of our community circles. Next week, Leanne Rubenstein from Compassionate Atlanta is going to be speaking. She's going to be speaking on ritual. Please join us for that. It's going to be way fun. That is going to be an in-person gathering at Mosaic Films. So that's going to be a hybrid and an in-person. The week following, June 19th, which is Juneteenth, is going to be Iyabo Onipede, also co-director of Compassionate Atlanta, who is joining us for that, again online, and is going to share with us her thoughts on Juneteenth. Finally, the following week on June 26th, Jennifer Farron is going to be our speaker and will provide her own fabulous music. So that's 3 very exciting upcoming weeks, and I look forward to you joining us for that. So as we close, what I would like to do is share with you a beautiful closing prayer. It's by a lady named Maureen Killeran, and it's really on moving forward, because at the end of the day, that is really what we were talking about. So I invite you just to listen to this beautiful closing prayer on change and on moving forward by Maureen Killeran. As we weather the winds of change, may we have the wisdom to cherish moments of stillness. As we touch on memories of challenge and pain, may we have the courage to remember the graceful blessings of our lives. As we look to future unknowns, may we have the boldness to trust that there is unimagined good yet to come. And so it is. May we trust that there is unimagined good yet to come. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you Wednesday. And again, have a wonderful week. Thank you so much. We are concluded. Please join us on the Zoom for fellowship immediately following. Thank you so much.